Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly, and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We want to go all in on Nikola. We love when the founder gets a pardon from the president, and we think this is the greatest comeback story ever.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that check and it's gone.
Hey everybody, welcome to Laughing Stock. I'm here with Dane. How are you, Dane?
Good. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm pumped because we're all in on Nikola now, right?
Yeah, I mean, what can go wrong here?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw it. The guy Trevor Milton, the founder, he, at least in I followed them for a bit, and we have used them in the intro before. From what it looked like to me, I'm not gonna conclude with everything, but just from what I've seen, what I read, the story I followed, it just seems like he was a fraud. And he got sentenced as a fraud, but now he got a pardon from the president.
So was he living in the States? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, he is from Utah, I think. And he got super rich. He owns so much stock and he sold off a lot and he built like a crazy mansion over there. And then he went downhill, if you know what I mean. They pushed the truck downhill. And it went downhill for him too. And now it's been some years, and I saw him pop up in some of my social media channels randomly, and I was seeing that he was fighting pretty strongly to clear his name. And I was like, why do you bother doing this? It's pretty obvious, at least from the outside, what happened. But I don't sit on all the information, so I'm also open to there's probably some info I don't have, but it's just he got sentenced, you know. So it's not like it's completely random. But now I couldn't believe it. He got a pardon, and all of a sudden he's back, and the stock went up 30%, and I think I screenshot to you like 10 minutes later and was down to 0% again.
Yeah, that's some. Well, first off, that has nothing to do with the company.
Yeah, no, he doesn't have anything to do with the company. He's just now on a mission to prove that he was right, everyone else was wrong, and I think the company is dead, anyways.
Yeah, I think it is, and I get it. He wants to clear his name, and I don't know the story well enough to comment on who's right or who's wrong. And there's so many controversial pardons that come out. And that's every president, like when you look at like who got pardons, like you wonder like what deals are going on in the background, I feel like, because like you look in some of the things like people have done, you're like, really? That's the guy you're giving a pardon?
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Maybe he was truly innocent or something. I don't know. It doesn't sound good from anything that I read, which, like I said, I haven't read into too much. I kind of just, looked at some basics of the thing, but still.
The case was like, he was talking about all the technology they had, all the future plans. They were on track of building a car they called the Badger, which looked awesome. It would have been fantastic, They were going to build this infrastructure with hydrogen filling stations over a few years of time, They would have like a good grip of that entire market going into the future for a little bit of a greener, greener world, and cars and heavy transportation and ferries and stuff like that running on hydrogen. So that was the goal, and they were on a path, according to this guy at least, for quite some time to do that. And then it just got, revealed that, and he got big investors involved, he got big companies involved, and then all of a sudden this Hindenburg report came out, just picking everything apart, and they struggled to fight back against the accusations, And it turned out they didn't have the technology. They had just borrowed from someone else and blah, blah, blah. It was just a big mess. It turned out like the cars were pushed. They were just rolling down the hill instead of... And it appeared that they were driving, But saying that, though, they have some trucks on the road now. So they have moved past that. But it's just been struggling ever since.
I think that is pretty hysterical that they filmed a truck rolling down a hill, but it doesn't sound good. I mean, I don't really have anybody, I don't know how long or what he was actually charged for, but I guess everybody gets lucky here and there, right?
Yeah, I think so. And they also built a big factory which looks amazing, which they had some production, so. It would just like and obviously the name of the guy is Nikola Tesla, so, and he compared himself to Tesla a lot, so it was like also a direct competitor to Elon Musk, and that's why you have seen a lot of hype in the stock also, because when this moves, it really moves in both directions, and it still does, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's the thing, and I've talked about this a bunch of times, but that has to do with, I feel like, with the optionality of like some of these companies, especially on the early side, because if it works, I mean, sky's the limit in terms of like where it can go, and if it fails, like anything else, just goes to zero. So anytime good news comes out on some of these companies, especially ones that are like post IPO and have just kind of been beaten down the entire like lifetime of the stock, they're just waiting for some kind of catalyst to like bring them back to life. So
but let's see how this develops and what he's gonna do next. I will be very careful, even though in the intro we are all in, but even though I will be very careful of anything I do. I see that this Trevor Milton guy is touching. That's just like, that's just me. I must be allowed to learn from what I've seen. He might be innocent, I don't know, but it's just gonna stick with him for a long time,
Well, and I feel like everyone's gonna say that they're innocent. You know what I mean? Like, if you've, no offense, like I said, I don't know anything about the guy, but if he's been lying this entire time, for him to stop lying now is like, oh sure, like he doesn't gonna change everything.
And also. What a mess.
Yeah, but that's just been how Nicola's been plagued.
Yeah. But he got some big names involved though. Jeff Ubben, a big investor, he did very well on his trade. I have to say that, because he sold early after being involved in the IPO, I think. And he made a lot of money on it. But Jeff Ubben was on television talking very warmly. He was sitting next to Trevor, talking very warmly about the company. And there was a lot of interest. GM was involved.
Well, at the same time too, it's not like it couldn't have worked out, and it's not like everyone didn't have like a truly optimistic like goal.
No, yeah,
It's just it's hard to do.
yeah, yeah.
But
But I was a bit surprised when I saw he got pardoned from the president.
yeah,
But
who knows
okay,
who he knows or how that works
yeah,
because it's definitely questionable at best.
there was some writings on Twitter, but need some better sources. I didn't even bother checking closer into it, to be honest. But I was thinking, all right, we have our intro then.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know it's tough. Like at this point, and I know I can't even trust AI. We were just talking about how you use AI before this,
yeah,
and it's like every post I see if I'm on X or whatever, I have to like throw it into AI and just be like, "Is this true?" And like, "Can you like help me understand?"
yeah,
And it's funny too because there's so many people lying.
yeah,
It's just both sides, and I'm just talking like whether it's political or even just a regular news story
yeah,
and like because the news like sensationalizes everything. It's like when they put a story out and you read it and it's like, okay, well, it's not really true. It's like this person kind of said this, but it's out of context and like this matters. And like once you start doing that, it's like it really helps to paint a clear picture of like, these people will clearly just defend their side to the death, regardless of how obvious it is wrong.
yeah.
But
It's been i- social media, I think, and the environment that the world is in right now. It's very. Uh, I guess it depends on how you look at it, because I think if you walk around in the real world, and distance yourself from like social media and that stuff, people seem to agree a lot. Most people are nice. Most people have interesting points to come with. Most people are interested to talk about things. But if you just go into the digital world, it's very dividing.
well, and I also wonder too, how much is bots, how much is, like I don't believe a lot of these numbers on anything. Like we were talking about, something will get upvoted thousands or tens of thousands of times and I'm like, and then if you look at every other post in the same category, it's got like a couple hundred upvotes. I'm just like, that's not real. That's
Yeah,
definitely fake.
yeah.
So it's kind of rampant.
But
So
I also feel, I
it,
have to say though, I'm surprised a bit. I know I just said that if you talk with people in the real world, most people are sensible, but I'm also a bit surprised of the amount of people I come across that has just read like the headlines, the buzzwords, and have formed their own opinion on that alone. Because
well,
in this day and age right now, like we are saying, you kind of have to question a bit the news you are fed, and you also have to dig a little bit deeper. And it doesn't take a lot. You just need to dig a little bit deeper to see. It's actually a bit more nuanced than what I initially heard.
yeah, and I think the problem is, and this is how the news kind of is like, in social media is taking advantage of people. Is not everyone has a ton of time. Like not everyone wants to sit and do the research and like try and figure these things out. So they're happy to just be fed like these headlines and then just be like, oh, okay, that's what's going on.
Yeah,
And they just kind of agree on like general concepts of what's going on, and that's able to like kind of shape their opinion quickly. So it's to someone's own detriment to not look into things, but innocence is bliss, as they say. So
yeah. I just feel like if you know that you have just read the headlines and you know the environment we are in, wouldn't you be a bit careful to voice your opinion like with confidence?
well, that's really true. That's a
Yeah,
great point because
yeah,
I think the big issue too is like someone will hear something and then recite that again,
yeah,
and that part's kind of crazy. It's one thing just to be like listening and just taking it in and kind of like not trying to form other people's opinions, but to hear something and then immediately start re-shouting it,
yeah,
that part's kind of wild. And
yeah.
the
That's
big reason I
why.
still use X is really because of the finance side of things. Like I follow a bunch of people finance wise, and you can look up tickers and whatnot. So I mean that's why X is like my primary one. But there's so much politically that gets thrown at you, when you're on something like this. It's just kind of like,
Yeah.
I have to be careful and really I have to block things and do my best to not just get inundated with nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, how's the week been? I'm gonna move into the dashboard because it's very red. Friday was a terrible day.
It was, it's funny too, because right before the stream, we were just kind of going over what we had done for the week. And we both did, it sounds like the exact same thing. Even though I know I had just said last week I was going to wait for a clearer signal, I thought it looked like Monday. Like if you pull up the any of the indexes, you can see Monday and Tuesday were pretty solid accumulation days. And that was after a strong kind of end to the week, I thought, last week. So I took 3 different positions this week. All of them got stopped out because then on Wednesday, things tanked and it got worse.
Yeah.
So the good news is, because my positions were tiny, I'm only down 1/3% overall for the week.
Yeah.
So not really a big change, but still, it's like I keep kicking myself because I know I've said it. I know you've said it, that like we're just going to sit on our hands, but still, it's like you start to see some things work out. And it just kind of makes you think there's the chance and you want to hop back in because it's been a while now. It's been over a month where it's just, these are terrible for breakouts.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I told you just before the stream, like I just took you two names this week, but I can argue pretty well about my picks, even if we have said in the past, like you should be very careful now and the best thing is to not do. It's like, okay, but still, when I see some signs, I want to kind of take the chance, because if you do get some winners in this environment, you do outperform a bit, at least for the moment. And I feel like I had pretty good reasons going into the 2 names I took, but both of them didn't work out, and I'm not surprised by it either. But if I was going into something, it would have been those 2 names, and. Yeah, it made me down a little bit more, but it's small losses. I got triggered out on the stops. I even sold out above my stop on one of them, because I have decided that, it went up the first day and then it went down the second day, but it didn't trigger the stop loss. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sell it. Because I don't want to be in something that turns around right now and goes down. And that was a good decision, because it dropped way below my stop eventually. Yeah. So I didn't even get a 3% loss on that one, and the other one, I can 100% criticize my timing, but I will still make the argument that, since I tracked it, I will go through it later on the stream, but since I tracked that stock for some time now, it did have a big move on not a lot of volume. And I thought, I want to be in this, because it's a strong stock in this environment, and it had a strong move on low volume. And I saw a lot of the portion of the volume came in late on the day. And I was thinking, oh, someone knows something on this one, so I took the chance on it. But then next day I got stopped, so it just didn't work. But I feel like I had good arguments and good thinking about it. But I guess that's how it is, anyways. In bullish markets, also you can have some strong, conviction in things, and they still don't work out.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I did the same thing. Anything I went into, there was strong volume. The charts were clear, stair steps. So I liked it, but when the market distributes like it did towards the end of the week, and just the entire, we basically bounced all the way back towards the low from the last big drop.
Yeah.
So who knows? I don't know where we're going from here. Not to be political, but just to think about like what's going on here. I mean, a big thing is Trump's putting those tariffs all over on things.
Yeah.
And at least in terms of, his argument is that he's saying that these tariffs are essentially going to, protect manufacturing and provide security to the United States in terms of us being able to produce our own steel and making sure we have our own weapons developed here, and also especially in terms of computer chips and not relying so heavily on like Taiwan. I can see why that is a strategic initiative for the United States to do that. But with that, if you increase tariffs, that does put the load back on the consumer here. It will raise prices on those things, and it will take time for the market to adjust to that. It will slow GDP, so it really will hurt the stock market in terms of overall bullishness, because the United States will slow down. You know, anytime you put a tariff on, that is not a benefit economically in terms of the overall picture. It's you're trying to force something to happen when you're doing those tariffs.
Yeah.
So, like I said, regardless of whether you think the tariffs are right or wrong, I don't really care about that. But my point being is that is going to cause short-term pain, especially for the stock market, because it will harm overall business.
Yeah.
Now, in the long run, is it the right move to make? I have no clue. I'm not.
Yeah, no,
an
we just
expert
have
on
to wait
that,
to see.
and I know you can hear both sides of the arguments all over the place. But I do think this, because of what we're doing in the level that we're applying those tariffs, I think we could see an even deeper decline here. Do I think it's, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a huge one past here. Like, could I see another 5% or something? Probably. Do I think it's going to be some huge decline, like 30% for the year? I don't think it's that big, because nothing else has really changed in the markets. It's just it's going to take time for all these markets to adjust to these bigger overall changes in the way everything's structured. But I mean, it's tough to say. You know, I think no matter what, the other problem is this was all occurring at what you could argue was a pretty strong, like, kind of run up, you know, over this past year or so for the markets.
Yeah. No, I agree. And 2nd of April is the next date for some news on tariffs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we are very close to that, and maybe that's why we got some of the drop now. People are being careful. I don't know, but no, I agree. I'm not going to be surprised if it continues to drop. But it's also interesting to see. It's a little bit of a sideways move now for some weeks at least. So we will just have to wait. And once again, if you look at this chart I have on here, let me. For people who have followed a bit, I have put on a few extra things, like this is just the S&P graph. Hold on, I will show it on a stock. This is just the S&P graph, so I have something to compare against, just like the general market trend, you know. And I also put on this RS rating one up here. That just it's an indicator of if a stock is moving strong or something. And usually you can kind of tell without having these on, but I just wanted to have them on. I saw other people have them on, and I was thinking, yeah, that's good just for having something visual straight in your screen. The negative side is it's get a little bit noisy, and it takes up a little bit of space, but I'm getting used to it. So I apologize if you look at this now and feel like it's a bit noisy. But on this one, you know, we have talked about this a few times. It's like the percent of stocks above 50-day average, and we are down in a terrible territory again. But if you look back, it has been way worse even than now. And even though we moved into this area, you didn't get a lot of breakouts here. So I feel like you have to move sideways between the yellow and the green line a bit, and upwards towards the blue for something to, you know, be a positive environment for swing trading and to get a lot of breakouts working again. So right now it seems a bit far away from that. It's just something to look at. You shouldn't use this, you know, 100% or trust, like, you know, it's just one more thing to look at. And it has started to turn down again. So yeah, I'm not surprised if we see a bigger drop.
Yeah, I think all of it's kind of in context. This week, I know you know, but I built a market strength sheet in Excel,
Yeah.
and just put some of the things on there that I think are important, and it gives me context for where the market's at. And my goal is over time to record every day at the close a few different things, just to give you an idea. Like I have a few different kinds of screeners I use, and it's how many stocks at the end of the day meet that screener, how many have broken out, how many have continued to break out for at least 3 days, and then overall, like how many stocks are up for the month, 3 month, 6 month, the 1 year. And I turned it into percentages and averaged these and created my own like market rating strength score.
Yeah.
And I look at the median of that as well as I look at just the overall kind of picture. I'm wondering, I kind of based it off Pradeep's, which is, you can look up his market.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called. It's just like, but it's a market strength
Yeah.
tracker. And it's his is looking at more like stocks that are up 4% because that's what he uses typically for his way to go in. And we had talked about this last week. Is it's just a way of statistically seeing how things are working out. I will say the one thing it does is good about is it makes me record not only the stocks that have broken out, but the ones I'm watching every time a stock breaks out because I want to see if it makes it 3 days. And the only way to do that is to literally record which stocks are breaking out. So it is good to actually have that as a reflection because normally, like you look at names and you see them, but you don't really like consciously focus on the ones that are breaking out and remember and see like, okay, this one continued to break out. And I think it's going to give me actually a good list of names that I can go back and reflect on because I'm like, this one broke out and lasted for 3 days because I'm paying attention now to every one of those ones.
Yeah.
Like last week, JYD, AVA, NGD. These were all stocks that broke out and continue to break out even as we went into the distribution part of the week, which is insane. I mean, if you think about that, that is really impressive for a stock to be able to hold during that time period. So not that it's making me do anything specifically, but it's also just kind of like putting into perspective what a strong stock looks like in this market. And obviously, as we get back into better times, it's the data will be very clear to me that we're way away from this. And I created a conditional formatting that goes through all this that always keeps the average. And that way I'll kind of just always know based on, and obviously the longer I do it, the more information I have. Right now, I built it on Tuesday, so I only have 4 days of information. So it's not really like super helpful yet, but every day I put more information in, every day it will become more accurate and it will become more of a reflection of what's going on in the markets. So I'm excited because it's number one, it's something new and it's fun to do it this time. But it's a good way to look back on everything and just kind of see what's been going on. But like just to give you guys an idea, so now granted I didn't because I built it on Tuesday, so I don't have information for breakouts. There was only 3 stocks by the end of day on Thursday and only 2 stocks on Friday that had met my criteria for a breakout that would have worked. So I mean, think about it. That's less than 0.5% of stocks out there are.
It's going to be
meeting
very hard
criteria.
to pick those two from the rest because you I have to say though, this week you did see some breakout like patterns.
Yeah, there was breakouts. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, and my watch list was actually growing throughout the week. But I'm gonna go through this on the stream today. I'm sure I'm gonna delete a lot now because they broke down instead. But yeah, like we talked about initially, the Monday and Tuesday looked decent at least,
Yeah, and it's like I said, I have the data. On Tuesday, there was 8 stocks by the end of the day that had broken out.
Yeah.
And I have a specific criteria for breakouts too. So you might say like, oh, I saw 12 or whatever. I'm just saying I record it the same way every time, just keep my numbers accurate. It might not. You might see things that like you would say aren't a breakout or are. So don't always just take my numbers. Like you can't just copy what I'm doing because it's in my own understanding of what a breakout is. But I am curious just as this gets built out to get used to the numbers of like how many stocks are up. Like What's a good one? So for instance, like on my 6-month percent one, I have it's a screener I use in stock charts. And on Tuesday there was 56 stocks that were above a 6-month high. And it's probably like they have to be up like, I don't know, like 200% or something to make that list. It's a stricter screener. But by Friday, there's only 44.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a significant pullback. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is the other thing. I mean, you can just look at index charts and figure out that we're in a pullback, and obviously these numbers are going to look worse. But the idea is to find context, because the other thing I find is when the markets do finally turn around, you'll start to see these breakouts probably occurring. And while the graph or the chart for the indexes might not show us back into like a huge strength period, if the breakouts all of a sudden start to occur, I'll be able to recognize that quicker than I would have if I was just following an index or looking at new highs and new lows. Like, and don't get me wrong, I'm still going to look at all those things, but this is a way for me to more solidify true numbers in my head, where like I have on my breakouts, there was 8, then there was 3, then 5, and then 6. So, whether regardless of what those numbers mean, my point being is like, if I see 30 one day, that's going to be obviously a big day. Like 30 stocks broke out on that day, which I haven't seen that in a long time. Normally I see just a few. So it's all just to put things in context and to keep a better track of these things.
Yeah.
And obviously when we're in a bull market, this won't be as useful, but when things slow down or start to go the other direction, it will be useful.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, to maybe determine when things are turning for the worse again after a bull market.
Mm-hmm.
You will get some early signs, maybe. Like everything adds on to your decision making, and I think to build something on your own is very valuable, because you will know how it works 100%, and you will know what it gives you and what's the meaning of it is,
Right. So I'm just gonna keep recording every day, and I'll keep reflecting on it on the stream.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we can go through some of the names we took then, Dane. The stock I was speaking about earlier was PRCH Group. We have talked about them a lot. And like you see here, compared to the market, it has been moving strong on when the general market has declined a bit. And you can see, I don't care so much about this number up here on the RS rating, it's more the graph. But it was setting up, and on this day it moved 15 or 17%, I think, and I took it too late. Another thing this week for me has been like I haven't been able to be on a computer at the opening so much, but luckily, Dane, I have some news. We have finally adjusted the time here too, so we are even again.
Good.
So now I'm happy, because I will be more present, I think, at the opening. But I was late into this one. But I thought like, okay, I've been waiting for this one to move, and now, okay, it did move. I want to stay in it for the next day. And like you can see, it opened up pretty good and then just turned around like the entire market, and I got stopped out. And I think if you go into the even the 1 minute, I need to see which day it was. It was here, I think. No, it was this one no, hold on. No, I'm messing with you. It was this one. You see this volume coming in here on the daily? I saw this after it happened, right? So I took it a bit after here somewhere. And I thought, like I said initially, like okay, maybe something is going on here, and I want to, I want to stay in it, but that's why I took the chance, and it didn't end up well, but I'm still keeping it on the watch list. What do you think about PRCH now, Dane?
It's hard to say. It rode the 5-day moving average really well on this little last run up here for the last week or two. But it did break down below that. But I mean, no matter what, it shows strong strength compared to the indexes. I don't know. I think on days where you see the markets turn, you probably will see more accumulation in this. But the same thing kind of stands. Like, even though stuff looks good right now and there is breakouts and this stock does break out, I'm just hesitant to do too much right now anyways.
Yeah.
And on the days there's strong volume, yeah, it's all how much of that can you capture, how much can you get in on.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I should. My timing is critique worthy. I should have been earlier, but I wasn't present on the computer. But I still thought it would, and it did start up 7% the day after, and it ended down. Like, I got stopped out of it the same day. So once again, maybe just take the gain when you have it, right?
Yeah, as I've said, this is that's the only thing I've found that really kind of holds much.
Yeah. Because
And
I
other
would
than
be
that, I
happy
mean,
with.
besides some of these tech names and it looks like metals and stuff like that, precious metals have done pretty well, but
Yeah.
I haven't seen anything that like really solidifies any kind of like narrative towards one specific thing over another.
No, even Bitcoin is struggling now, right? Not struggling, but they struggle to move past 90 again, at least for now.
Yeah, and like I said, Bitcoin to me is like, it seems like it's almost, tagged to the rest of the indexes.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, I rarely see it really venture off from what the rest of the indexes are doing.
Yeah, if you look at my graph here, that's why I have it on. It's pretty similar.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of wild. It got back down to 74,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty big swing.
Yeah.
That's over a 25% down move, isn't it?
Yeah.
From its peak here.
Another ticker I took was Next, and this is the one I sold before it triggered my stop, because I took it on this day here. That was on Monday, and I was happy because it held up pretty nicely, and once again the next day it started up and then it just fell, and I was thinking, like, why should I be in this right now when it's already a losing position? It didn't go up straight away like I wanted to. I'm just going to sell it, and I'm very glad I did, because this actually broke down, and I think right now I've deleted it from the watch list even.
Yeah, I haven't even been looking at my watch list, to be honest. I've just kind of assumed it's just not accurate anymore. I know I had talked about going through and kind of rechecking on things, but at this point, I find stuff's like so like volatile and back up and down and everything that I'm probably going to just take everything off of it, and then the next time I think it looks like everything's turning around, I'll reassess it and kind of add stuff to it. Although two things on that. I saw Minervini posted that he had taken 4 long positions, saying that he thought we had seen some strength in the markets and that there was accumulation occurring. But then by Friday, he had said that 2 of those positions he's already been stopped out of, and he's only in 2 more, which one of them's Berkshire. So, Berk is always going to be kind of like a hedge, because Berkshire is going to continue to do well in almost all markets anyways, just because the way Buffett has it set up.
Yeah.
But he still has kept half of his short position for the S&P. So I would say he's playing it relatively well. I mean, that's kind of a good move, and you can see how his hedge has worked for him to offset this. Because he's going to come out with a positive gain from this whole period,
Yeah.
So,
and props to him for updating everyone, on how he's been stopped out and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think it's hysterical because people online give him crap and are like, "Well, you could have told us when you first did this," and it's like he's doing it like the day after.
Yeah, and why? Why do people feel like entitled to like the expert should tell them what to do all the time?
The fact that he's being transparent within 24 hours. Number one, you could basically mirror him and probably do okay. But number two,
How many of the stock championship has he won? Like 3 or 4?
Yeah, he's won a few, which, if you can pull off those kind of numbers, your system works. It's that simple.
And it's like this is a professional. Like he doesn't owe anything to. He even has this class, right? That you can purchase, and you can go to his courses and stuff. So if you feel like he owes you something, maybe you should be a student there then.
Yeah, I think he's great.
Yeah.
He's very even when people are kind of like harassing him, he responds very maturely, I should say.
Yeah.
He's not looking to like pick fights with people. He's just saying like, hey, I'm just trying to offer, advice and stuff. It's not, if you don't want it, don't take it.
Yeah.
And it's just, people are just insane.
At some point, you just understand you don't have the time to argue with everyone. You just don't need it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm sure he's busy as anything anyways, but I do appreciate following him in it kind of helps to solidify, like, I've kind of agreed. I thought when the market started to turn here, it looked like we were for like a real downturn. I didn't do anything really, like with my other portfolios. I didn't pull anything because I don't want to do that without having like a few calls that I'm correct on. But to me, everything looked like it was going to have a more serious pullback. And so far, I would have been correct in seeing guys like Pradeep and Minervini say the same similar thing, that they're seeing the same things that I would. That really helps me to clarify the fact that I am starting to see the technical side of things much better than I ever was before.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
I feel like if you can see the technical side of things and you understand the fundamental side of things, that is such an advantage.
Yeah. Yeah,
so,
it is. I listened to another podcast. It's in Swedish from Kulamagi. It's on the YouTube channel that we have listed in Discord called Stockholm. He talked about that, like his biggest winners is by far when the fundamentals meet the technicals.
Yeah.
And I know this is nothing new. He talks about it a lot, but he just said it again. Like the episode is like how to become a super trader, something like that, and that was one of his big points. Like those are my best winners.
Yeah, and someone had posted in the Discord, and Value had responded to him because Value in his name is Value. And the person was saying, like, I mean, are you looking at the fundamentals on these things? Or are you just, purely going technicals? And he was talking about how he had kind of picked up swing trading from us a little bit. And I think it's important to differentiate that, but know that, number one, it's really important to know the differences between the two styles. And where fundamentals are going to really benefit you is always, it's one of two ways. Fundamentals are either going to benefit you on the value side because something's cheap relative to its value based on other stocks and where it's currently at. And then the other side is the growth side, where you're predicting and projecting outwards that those fundamentals are going to come to fruition and the company will be worth this at some point. Those are the two ways that fundamentals really help you. But technicals are kind of like right in the face of that, because the technicals are going to basically confirm fundamentals as things go along. But the reason it's not super important to pay attention to fundamentals if you're following technicals is because if something happens technically, it's most likely that the fundamental is there. It's the company does have good earnings. The company does have revenue. That's why these companies are doing well. And the only exception to that rule is it's too early on and it's most likely narrative based. Or like, for instance, like Nikola, it's narrative based on like, it sound like the company's it could be a big deal, early Tesla, early Amazon. These are examples of, the fundamentals haven't quite reached to the same height of where it's supposed to, but the narrative is saying that's where things are going to be. And I guess that's kind of ties in with growth, obviously. But so when you are doing swing trading or day trading or whatever kind of trading you're doing, yes, the fundamentals matter, and it's a good thing to always look quickly into a company and be, if you see a company fly up one day and then you realize it's, headed for bankruptcy, it's most likely there's a ton of people selling and it's only going up because there's a bunch of people buying it, but they don't realize that the rug's getting pulled out.
Yeah.
So if you quickly do like a check, you can just quickly check to see if like, if a company's like in dire straits. And if it's not, there's probably something going on there, and you can just take it on the technical side of things. But you should never completely ignore either side. I'll say that.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
the technicals themselves, it's just different when you're looking at those and you're buying stocks based on that. Like technicals, I'm typically buying right at 52-week highs, or at some kind of breakout from a recent like few months or weeks or whatever it is breakout. And then if I'm buying something fundamentally, the chart's going to look like shit, and it's going to be on a big pullback or something like that. Or even if the chart doesn't look terrible, it's definitely on a pullback. I mean, I'm not buying 52-week high growth stocks that, well, I guess no matter what, then it's breaking out. So I guess if I'm buying growth or anything like that, that's more technical side. And if I'm buying stuff at the bottom, it's all fundamentally based and me understanding the business and the narrative turnaround.
Yeah.
It's a dichotomy of how to do both styles, but they're at direct odds with each other. So if you look at something from only one of those perspectives, it's going to seem very confusing to think of the other side.
Yeah. And if you are new to following us, watch all the episodes where you can see and hopefully learn how to do fundamental research and stuff like that, and how to look at these two styles different, but also when to connect them.
Agreed. Yeah, the old videos would be good for that.
Yeah. I'm just going to quickly go through the watch list I have here, Dane. SSRM is still a long-term hold for me. It broke down on Friday, but until then, it has been strong still, I think.
You say it broke
I
down
have
on
to
Friday.
say,
it still looks pretty good.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I have to say I like it, and I just saw now that the next earning is in 1 month, and maybe, hopefully, then we can get some positive news on development in Turkey, because if we get some news on that soon, that's my thinking, that it will go even higher. But to be honest, when I took it, my initial goal was to get a double up to like $10, and obviously we are above that now. So I'm struggling a bit to see if I should sell some or keep it, but included in that thinking was also that we get an update from what's going on in Turkey, and we haven't really got a solid update there, just that they are still working on it. So yeah, I'm waiting there, but it does look good on the technical side too, I think. And talking about a strong mover, this tracks the gold chart pretty well, and that has been very beneficial in the times we have been in the last few months.
Yeah. And so when you talk about selling on this one, would you handle this more by trenching out or by waiting for some kind of like pullback or stop loss trigger? Or...
Well, initially, I took it before we started with swing trading at all, So initially, my plan was to sell completely out when I had a double. But I thought the catalyst to get it back to 10 would be a solid update from the Turkey mine. And then it started to run without it. So now I'm still waiting, and my thinking has then changed a bit. I think I will, no matter what, wait till that update and just keep the entire position. And when I sell, I will sell the entire position, I think.
Yeah.
And I can see that you should and maybe, you could and maybe should use technicals to try to time some entries and exits right now. But I'm not going to do that on this one, just because of what my original thesis was, I think. And I'm prepared then that it can drop, I think I wrote that in the Discord, that if it drops, I'm okay with it, because right now I think I'm 130% or something. So I have some room,
Right.
Don't get me wrong, it sounds a bit stupid, but when my original thesis was that it's depending on what's going on in Turkey. I still want to wait till that is cleared 100%, you know.
Gotcha.
So that's gonna stay on the watch list, I think. The next one is MP. MP is still, it's a bit high in market cap. I'm not sure about this chart, Dane. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see the same thing.
It's not really too strong, I guess.
Wait, what do you get for the ADR on this?
5.72.
It just seems like you have a high chance of getting stopped out up here.
Yeah,
This
I
is
agree.
how many up moves is this? It looks like it's broken out 1, 2. I guess we'll call 3. Looks like this is the 4th breakout. So to see a 5th breakout, this is tough.
Yeah. Saying that though, since February, this has moved up when the market is down. So it's also a bit like this is a mineral, non-energy minerals, other metals and minerals. So things like that has just done pretty well lately, right?
Yeah, and I was going to say that whole sector, I think, I was talking about, those are some of the names I've seen in the breakouts that have actually worked.
Yeah.
So the thing is, as the market does well, these will probably show less strength because people will rotate out of these names.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends, but I don't know. I guess, volume's pretty low here.
Yeah, it is.
And I will say it looks like things are consolidating a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that 20-day moving average catch up to the 10, and then maybe think it looks a little more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm keeping it, but like we also said, like the market cap is above 4 billion, so yeah, maybe this is not the one you're gonna pick when things starts to move, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it has a ton of room to run, but it could break out.
Yeah, exactly. I know we spoke about the next one, Herbalife, and you know the history of that company. It's actually pretty interesting, and the business model has got a lot of shit, you know. At the same time, they have attracted a lot of big names, both in sports world and investor world. Was it what is his name? Ackman?
Bill Ackman, yeah.
He got it wrong on this one, right? And that was the whole Carl Icahn beef with him. Was in this stock, if I remember correctly. But I have to say, though, the chart looks interesting. And if you look at the earnings they had on 19th of February, they had an earnings beat, and look at the volume he got there, and of course the move up. That was pretty strong.
Well, not only that, but this looks really good right here. We're above 200-day moving average. The 10-day and everything is kind of rising up. The volume is just nothing right now.
Yeah.
I mean, this looks like it could break out pretty clearly.
Yeah. So
and this is the kind of thing too, where I was talking before, is like, you also, sometimes the fundamentals can work against you. I'm not a huge fan of this company's business itself. It sounds like it's kind of like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
And it's gotten a lot of shit for that. But at the same time, too, on a technical basis, if you just showed me this and I knew nothing about the company, I would think this chart looks pretty good right here. Overall, it's a bit of a downtrend. So this last big up move has kind of what changed my opinion there. It looks like you said, there's been some interest way down here.
I agree.
And now we have some strength. But that low volume right there, with this just breaking above all those 200-day moving average specifically, I don't know. This is one I would watch closely. This is one that even nowadays, if I saw some good volume come in and it started to break out like above, I don't know, 9.
Yeah.
I would seriously consider taking a position. And obviously I keep my stop loss tight, so I really don't care if it gets stopped out. But it would be worth, in my opinion, maybe trying. How high does it go? I don't know.
No.
I have no clue. I mean, it might not be able to break out to like I don't know, the recent high of like that 1279 way back in, was that August?
Yeah.
I don't know if it can get way up that high, but
What's also interesting a bit though in the consolidation phase here, if you look at Thursday 20 of March, it seems like it wanted to break down, but then the next day it got a little bit of volume and it went back up again, and then it starts to surf the moving averages again. So that's also a strong sign, I think.
yeah.
But what do you think about this overhang that you have here on July though, in Wednesday 31st, it started to drop from almost $13. Does that concern you here?
Well, obviously that's the overarching part. During that time period, this chart was not interesting to me. It's only because of that last move that
Yeah.
this becomes interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And this isn't the first time. I mean, if you look at November had a move up from 6 to like almost 9, and then it broke back down. So I'm not saying it won't break back down. I don't know that. This looks like we're in the period where it could break out or break down. Reason I'm more bullish right now is if we're talking about overall market sentiment, look at the last week, think about what the markets have done, and look at what this stock has done. I mean, this stock shows strength right here compared to the last few days.
Yeah.
I mean, it sold off a little bit, but it even ended with like a small candle. I mean, like it didn't even break down.
No.
So to me, this looks like it's a solid chance for a breakout.
Yeah.
Now,
and they have some news also, some recent news about some acquisitions and stuff. So, and it did have it wasn't a crazy good earnings, but it was a good earnings, that last one. And now I see here on my on TradingView that they are Herbalife to acquire assets of Protocol Health, Proved Venture controlling stake in Link Bioscience, and something about, they use Cristiano Ronaldo as a face of the company. So there's some news about him here too. I haven't read it, but they have stuff that you want to see, right?
Right. No, I think the narrative is kind of there right now. I think in general, like healthcare and health in general, like your overall health, I think is becoming more streamlined to the average, at least in America. I think more people are focusing on it. But I feel like that's probably worldwide. Everyone's trying to improve their health and in whatever little ways they can do it. And this is a company. The other thing I was just reading, and it brings up a good point, is on Yahoo. It's talking about how, everyone's kind of doing like side hustles and stuff right now to make extra cash and blah, 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 and doing little things. And this is the kind of company that, like, when times are a little bit tougher, you could get into something like this as like a side hustle and make some extra cash.
Yeah.
Which really benefits the company and kind of gets like a bunch of new people to join in for a while. So we could just be seeing strength in terms of that,
Yeah.
And with the last report, it shows kind of like an agreement with that.
Yeah, I have to read through that on Seeking Alpha, because I assume also there's some very positive guidance there.
Oh, I didn't even check Seeking. That's a good point.
Huh?
I said I didn't even check Seeking. I was just pulling it up now to see if anyone's talking about it recently.
No, so yeah, I'm definitely keeping Herbalife on the watch list. And I think you also brought up a good point on Friday. This is only down, 0.58. And it even went back up from a bigger drop. So it is keep holding up strong when the entire market is tanking.
Yeah, on March 21st, Herbalife got an upgrade on sustainable sales growth. And there is a article from February 24th from Miriam Alvarez. I'm not sure I know too much on her, but she gave a buy on.
Yeah. And this company that you say by D.A. Davidson, they have a price target of 14, which is even above what they traded at in August 24.
She says it's a speculative buy, but based on the numbers, she thinks that most of the worst case scenarios are already kind of baked into the price.
Okay. But 24 million stocks after that report, and it wasn't even, was it? It was the day after, yeah. So the day after, 24 million in volume. Pretty solid.
No, it's good. I was just looking up the how many outstanding shares they have. Yeah, they have 100 million shares, so that's literally 25% of the shares moved that day.
Yeah. And it has held up.
How much is float? There's 84 million in float, so it's actually like a third of the shares.
Yeah.
Move that day, so that's a big move.
Yeah, that's a big move. And you should probably, go through. There's a website I have, Dataroma. Maybe you should. I'm not gonna do that on the stream now, but if anyone is interested in this, you should go through and see if there's some updates. On big funds, big owners, check whale wisdom and all that. Maybe they have some updates since that earnings report, but maybe it's too soon anyways. I don't know. Maybe do you know if Ackman is still involved?
I don't.
Baupost, that's him, right? No, that's Baupost is Klarman, right? Seth Klarman, yeah. So he added quite a bit too.
Yeah, ball post.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there was a lot of adding going on here.
Yeah, he added a lot.
Even Goldman Sachs put in 2 million.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I know it's Goldman Sachs and it's like ranked 2000 for them, but that's a big change in a small position.
Yeah. But percentage change in shares for Baupost is almost 50%.
I will say Goldman Sachs also has a hedge there. They have a put against it.
Okay.
So they've hedged the position. But I mean, that means that they're not like 100% sure, but they're not like, they're not like bearish on it by any means.
Yeah. Well, this one is interesting to follow at least.
Yeah, no, that's probably the best looking chart I've seen.
Yeah.
Do you have other ones that you have been looking at?
I have a ton, but we're not going to spend so much time on all of these. I have Aris. I think maybe I want to delete Aris here. It's a water utility, so a bit boring too. But still strong move though.
Yeah, it's been trending.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it another week to see if I'm gonna kick it out or not. The next one is MQ, and if you look at MQ, that's one I want to get rid of, I think. It seems like it's on the way to fall even further, or it's gonna show up in the screens if it continues up.
Right now that it moved down to that 20-day moving average, I'm curious to see if it can show any resistance there or support.
Yeah.
If it can, it may be interesting, but otherwise being below the 200, the overall chart doesn't look great, but
No.
it did have that up move and then did break out on the second little move there. So
yeah,
this did work as a swing trade. It's just
not anymore.
Yeah, it looks like it's definitely breaking down more so than breaking out.
I added it to the watch list when it went up that where you just said, because I've had it on the list for a while, but I'm getting rid of it now. PRCH, I think I will delete PRCH here just because of that strong, like it seems like it's moving backwards. So I'm kicking that one out. This one out. There's a lot that's gonna be kicked out. LWL way. Have you seen those?
Which one was it?
LWAY, L-way. I just thought it looked. There's a lot of things I don't like here. First of all, the volume is tiny. I don't think the chart looks that good even. But it has some tight candles here though.
Yeah, actually, I mean, yeah, the volume's not crazy, but the last like 2 weeks, there's been some good accumulation volume, and the volume in the past 2 days is super low in terms of distribution.
Yeah.
This doesn't look bad to me. This looks all right.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
if this can break out past like 27, I mean, that's gonna be good.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I will keep it just because of this last day's development here. But you see, you know, this those candles, they have some moves up and then they pull down, pull back eventually. But if it gets a clear breakout, this is interesting even here. But I'm just a bit hesitant these days with this type of volume. I think I was interested in this, and I looked on the 1 minute chart, and it was just like a few shares moving, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the spread was pretty big, so it's just a big chance to get stopped out. But I'm keeping it. SSTI I'm getting rid of. This one I'm getting rid of. What do you think about Amy, Dane? I know you love that stock.
Yeah, I don't touch it anymore. I don't care what that thing does.
It did actually move pretty good this week though, but seems
it
like
looks good here. It does look good.
It had a big red day on Friday like everything else.
Don't listen to me, guys. I just got stopped out like 3 times on this one. It's just like left a bad taste. So I'm like, stupid stock. But it has broken out. It actually is a good looking chart for breakouts.
Yeah.
I cannot seem to play this stupid one well. So
yeah, but that's true though, and I have lost money on this as well. It didn't work out for me, but it's true. Like when you try stuff like 2-3 times, you get a bit sick. You know, maybe you should just leave it, right?
well, the other thing is, like I said, I have to pay a wash sale. So if I'm doing this in the same breakout period, if it fails on me twice, I stop there, because then the return you need gets so high just to break even. It's not worth swing trading it. So
and it's also about the psychology and the feel. I know people say that you should put it away, but to me that's just bullshit. No one can do that. You cannot put your feelings away. I refuse to believe that anyone can do that. I understand the concept and the benefit of doing it, but if you have messed up this trade like 4 or 5 times, it will be extra pressure the 6th time, you know?
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm keeping it. SSP had a good week, I think. It was about here on Wednesday to really go up, but then it pulled back down, which is probably a bit of a a bearish sign, right?
Yeah.
But still, it's right there on the 10-day moving average. So I think I will keep it on the list. Thread up, TDUP, bit messy, but maybe a cup and handle forming.
I want to just point out, because I was just looking through some of the names that I've been following that are actual breakouts.
Yeah.
And the same thing that really stands here, if you're going to be doing anything in this market, it has to have strong volume, especially relatively.
Yeah.
Like if you pull up like JYD.
JYD?
Yep.
Can you say it again?
JYD.
JYD. Yeah. This one.
Hold on, I'm just waiting for the screen to refresh because I can't see what you're doing.
Jayud Global Logistics.
Yes. So
Yep.
if you see, but look at the volume in the past few days.
Yeah, I saw it.
Like,
That's
I don't
strong.
really care, like, yes, there's a bunch of these stocks that look like they're breaking out, but the ones that actually carry through have that strange volume.
Yeah.
Another one is SAND, SAND.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that one doesn't have as quite clear a volume, but it does have that initial day that really causes that breakout to occur.
Here, yeah.
And this is after like 2 weeks of not as strong volume.
Yeah.
But more accumulation than distribution too. Important to point out. New Gold, NGD.
Yeah, I have them on the list. They look good.
They just recently broke out, and yes, it pulled back on Friday, but it was just such a heavy selling day. It's hard for anything to show strength during that day.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, if I'm looking at what actually is working, they all are showing somewhat of a similar pattern here.
Yeah, I have this one also on the list, Dane. AEVA, AEVA.
Yeah, AEVA is another great example of one that had a ton of accumulation coming in and is just skyrocketed.
But in terms of a setup, where would you take something like this?
I would have took it when it broke through 550.
550. Okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like, yeah, it had that initial huge run up, which I'm not getting in there because I needed to break to new highs. But around that, what day is this, on Wednesday, the 26th?
That would be Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure, you could have maybe taken it at the end of Tuesday or earlier on Wednesday when it's close to the all-time high.
Yeah.
Or the 52-week high, I should say, not all-time. But on just how many days in a row is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, that's day 6 of accumulation. I mean, someone's buying. Someone is buying heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw this one and I was like, oh, this looks very strong.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm saying. I just feel like in this market, for me to really become interested in something, like this one, JYD, some of the names that just show really good strength, those are the ones that like I would argue you could say the risk is worth it.
Yeah. Let me just check through because I know I have I think I found the other one example that I thought of. Yeah, here both Groupon. We can start with Groupon GRPN.
Yeah, Groupon really good.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the volume. It does have volume, but it doesn't have the same type of volume like the two we just saw, right? But the chart is still acting similar.
Yeah, I mean, Groupon's a tougher one, but I would have argued if I was going to try and do a breakout on this one, you probably could have done it at the end of the March 12th day just because there's so much volume there.
Yeah.
And yeah, you would have missed that huge jump up on that day. But that's so much volume coming in. If you held that for a few days, you could swing trade that one.
Yeah, that would still be above 10% if you held for 3 days,
Right. So, and I'm not saying you're not going to get stopped out on some of these things. It's not as easy as just looking back at these charts and saying like, yes, this would have worked. But there is instances where when you have one of those really strong days and the stock really moves, most likely there's going to be some follow up there. And then also on these ones where there's just buy, like every day is a buy day. Those are the ones that like start to become interesting to me because someone's accumulating in really high numbers on that.
Yeah. And the other one I saw this week was BOW, BOW.
Oh, I remember seeing the ticker, right?
And I think it's a bit interesting on that one because same type of chart. But if you look at the volume, it seems to, it's not the same amount of volume, but it seems to increase just slowly day by day almost.
Yeah, and it's there. I mean, yeah, there's the one big sell day, but most of those days are accumulation. That's my thing is like I'm just looking at stocks that just have like constant accumulation. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. So those were the ones that stood out in the watch list. I also find Tiger a bit interesting here, but it needs to turn around, of course. But
Yeah, that one's a little choppier,
yeah,
but Tiger does have strong moves.
yeah, it does have strong moves, right?
Because I played Tiger. That was one of the first when I first was swing trading. That was when a bunch of the Chinese names were doing really well, and Tiger was on that move in September to October. I got in on that one,
Yeah,
um, and that's when I was like, oh, okay, this breakout thing can work. 'Cause
yeah,
that was like the first sector play I had when I was starting to try swing trading.
yeah. And I mean, it's a bit hard when you get those areas where you just talked about there in October, because it's still trading way below that. But if you use the weekly chart, it just seems to be in a good trend upwards. But yeah, I'm just keeping that one on the watch list, I think.
What do you think about ASA here?
What was it?
ASA.
Oh yeah, so I saw.
I mean, you got to think on that big move where it broke out here on Friday. I mean, that's on Friday.
That's on Friday, yeah. I
But
feel
I'm just
like
saying Friday was such an ugly day for the markets. Like that's a lot of strength.
yeah,
And it's a
and
clear 52-week high breakout.
very and relative volume is like 363%.
Yeah.
Um, but still a bit low overall in volume, though.
Yeah, but not for the company.
No, but do you care about that at all? Because what I've found, like with stuff like this, is that I just feel like it takes less to get stopped out if someone just wants to, make the price go down.
The thing I'll say is you got 158,000 shares that moved. You got a market cap of 570. The stock will just say, let's say on average, that's $28. That's $5 million came in on Friday.
Yeah.
Do you think someone can quickly pull 5 mil?
Yeah, no, but and it's a good argument like that. That was on Friday. How much it was up?
Only about just under 5%.
5%.
It wasn't
Yeah.
like it was a huge move.
No.
I'm just saying it looks like it looks decent here.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm putting it on the watch list.
Like I said, the one thing I do like about the market strength indicator is it makes me look at the breakout charts that have been working, which gives me an idea in this kind of market what is working. It's the ones that have these huge accumulation days, or it just has a bunch of accumulation days in a row.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's also the third day of accumulation too. So, I mean, we're talking that's 5 million on that day. It's probably like $1 million the day before that, and maybe just over almost 2 million before that. So that's an $8 million move coming into the stock, which, yeah, I get it. It's 570 million market cap. So it's not a ton in terms of the whole company, but it means someone's buying. And to be honest, even if you go back to the last move up on March 13th, when it broke out the time before that,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bunch of accumulation going on there. And yes, it had some sell-offs, but then it showed strength immediately.
Yeah, and you can find a fair bit of those throughout the last year. If you go back to last year, this is a very good uptrend in general.
And it's in the sector that we've been talking about. That's good. Precious metals.
Yeah. No, it's on the list now. But that is my watch list right now. I had to clean it up a bit, and I think I'm gonna remove even more names next week. I think the most interesting are SSRM, HLF, Herbalife, and the one Groupon maybe, Bow, New Gold, AEVA, and this one that you just said, ASA. Friday was really ugly, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Is like when I see stuff that shows any kind of strength on a day like that, it makes me think something good's going on there.
Yeah. Look at the DBVT.
Yeah, I was actually just looking at it. It's a biotech though. I was wondering if there's any news on it.
There is. They have some financing.
Yeah, so I don't know how long that continues up.
No.
And I mean, if you look at the morning, this jumped up to $9.
Yeah, I saw it.
So I don't know. Anytime I see a stock like this jump up to like $9, there's probably a chance this does what USEG does, and you'll have one more day of it skyrocketing as those guys try and get out.
Yeah.
But probably gonna pull back for a while. Where did USEG end, by the way? I know that was trending down. Yeah, that's down to $1.20 now, which is...
Yeah. That's where hopefully the floor can start to establish itself.
And the interesting thing too is if I look at this compared to the NASDAQ, it looks very similar in terms of like how it's like that move, that last month's move. So I wonder, is this just indexing right now?
Yeah, just following the market.
Yeah, it just looks like it's following the index.
But saying that though, this is a tiny company, so it doesn't have that much room to go further down, you know?
Yeah, and like I said, it's pivoting too in terms of going towards helium. So I don't know. I still think it's an interesting play. I'm always keeping an eye on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to see a bottom for him. I got excited last time because it started to come back up. But now I'm looking. I'm like, I think it just needs to trend sideways for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Before I'll consider it a value play.
Did you check Alto this week?
I did not.
They are in trouble.
Wow, it broke through $1.20, huh?
Yeah.
I swear management's going to run this company into the ground.
Yeah, I think that's correct. I think even now with more pressure and Justin taking a heavier position and stuff like that, it just can they do something? And I'm not seeing right now, at least, that they can.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the thing is with this one, all management has to do is come out and be like, yeah, we're looking to just like get rid of everything and sell off our bigger assets. This thing would skyrocket on that news.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what management's. Do they really think that they're going to be able to turn this company around? They have failed so many times consistently.
I saw after that report, right? Justin was asking someone if they could confirm what someone on the value, what is that club called? Value club?
Value line?
Huh?
Is it value line?
No, value investors club or something like that. You have to be approved with some.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, some guy on there had said that he was speaking with Alto's management and they started to fight with each other over some question. Good. And then when I saw that, and I just assumed that was correct at that point. I mean, if you are inside that website, you have already, proved yourself to not be a complete moron, at least.
Yeah, it's not good. It doesn't look good.
No. So I just assumed that you know, that was true, and that they were fighting amongst each other. And that was a big, yeah, just what a big mess, right?
Yeah, it just constantly has failed. And the worst part is it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
No. And what is GPRE doing? Well, they are tanking a bit too. Yeah, some ugly charts in this sector now. But they at least delivered when Alto should have delivered. Well, not gonna... Alto is done.
All right, man. I do got to start to get going here.
Yeah. All good. I think we covered a lot in terms of that not a lot happened.
I think we covered everything you could cover.
Yeah.
There's not much going on. Things
Yeah.
look ugly. If you're shorting, good for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. We need to grow the account so we can start to play around with some shorting.
Seriously, shorting is like the way to be right now.
Yeah. I'm curious to see that guy I always speak about that has 60% year to date. If this continues, he will probably have a good year.
Yeah, right. If he's continued to short, he's in good shape.
Yeah, for sure. All right. As always, come into the Discord. We have a lot of not a lot, but we have a few new people joining there now. We have some conversation going. We try to be a bit active there throughout the week. And now with the time difference aligning again, we can. I can be a bit more present this coming week. I hope. And then I have to work on Saturday next weekend, so we probably have to do the stream on Sunday next weekend as well, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, we will just put out an update on Discord.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put the update on the live stream chat. So if you guys ever are wondering if we're adjusting the time, sorry, it ended up being Sunday this week. I wish I should have got the news out a little bit earlier, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I know most people, because this is early, are probably just watching this whenever they can. So it's fine. It's whatever.
For sure.
But other than that, I hope everybody has a good rest of your week. Let's hope that the markets don't continue to crash too hard here. Like I said, I don't think a 5% correction from here is anything crazy to see. I could definitely see it go down.
Yeah.
But I also think we're going to kind of bounce around here for a little bit. We kind of have to see how all this macro stuff plays out.
Yeah.
You know, like I had said earlier, you can hear both sides and you can see how things are going to go. But until we start to get some hard data, like no one knows.
Yeah, no, that's true. And there will be signs when we can jump into more names again. So
yeah, and I also inflation came in a little bit hotter this week in the U.S. than what was anticipated, which makes sense. I mean, if you're putting tariffs on things, and it's going to cause inflation no matter how you look at it. So I don't think that's that crazy. What I'll be surprised, we'll see if the Fed actually ends up responding by bringing down the interest rate. I don't know if they would.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could see inflation tick higher if these tariffs get factored in, because like I said, it will cause short-term pain. There's no way to get around that. You know, it's going to cost, everything's going to cost more when you put tariffs in place initially. Now the goal is that, like I said, it would cause the markets to shift. It would bring manufacturing back into the United States. Yes, it will always be a net negative, but the positives will be on the side of job creation and security in terms of having industry back in the United States. Yeah. So whether we decide that that's the most important thing or not, it's not up to me. I don't really care, but you have to think how that factors into the market more importantly.
Yeah. I just pulled off I have a website here, United States unemployment rate, and from January to February, just up from 4% to 4.1. But it's going to be interesting to see in March also. Just something to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, I don't. I'd be surprised if it goes too high.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't seem like people are struggling to find jobs. You know what I mean? Like the jobs are out there right now.
Yeah.
So,
it has slowly increased since 2023.
yeah, well, I think that was because everybody, after COVID, everyone was like wanting to go back to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see where things go from here.
For sure. Hopefully the dashboard will be more green.
Oh, it's hard not to be.
Yeah. Or maybe you can just buy those glasses that convert colors from red to green,
Sure.
and you will be good.
We can just change the computer monitor color.
Yeah.
I can just adjust my color scheme.
I think we have the wisdom, laughing stock wisdom in the Discord there.
And on stock charts, I can just change my candle colors. I can change the up days to red and the down days to green, and my problem's solved.
Yeah. Yeah, genius. I think we will end on that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. See you then.
Yeah, see you, everybody.
Bye.